We wish to perform the following indicated operations, giving the results in simplest form. So we're looking at this expression here that's raised to the 1/2, and we want to get rid of these radicals in the denominator. The way we can do that is multiply this expression by, this expression by the conjugate of this denominator. And I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to rewrite this expression, x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared over the square root of x squared plus 2y squared plus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared. And then the conjugate of the denominator is going to be this same thing, but this term will be negative. So we have to multiply top and bottom by that. So this will be x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared over the square root of x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared. And then, of course, all of this is raised to the 1/2. So here, notice we have the same thing on top, the square root of x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared. So the top is just going to be the square root of x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared squared, because it's the same thing multiplied by itself. Now the bottom, it actually does reduce quite a bit, because the square root of x squared plus 2y squared times itself, right, is just going to be the same thing, but without the radical, right? X squared plus 2y squared, right? And then the reason why we multiply by the conjugate, because look, this term times this term, right? That's going to be negative this term times this term, right? And then here we have the exact same term, like this term times this term, but it's positive. So this term, the multiplication of, or the product of these two terms cancels with the product of these two terms. They turn to 0. And then we do this term times this term, which they are the same term. So we just get rid of the radical. This would be x squared minus 2y squared. And then all that to the 1/2. And now we have the square root of x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared squared over, and then x squared minus x squared is 0, right? And 2y squared minus negative 2y squared, that'll turn into 2y squared plus 2y squared, which is 4y squared. And this is to the 1/2. And now remember, it's with a fraction raised to a power, we put the power to the numerator and the power to the denominator. So this is going to be, here, the square root of x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared. And this is raised to the squared, and then times 1/2 over 4y squared raised to the 1/2, right? We can actually not have this anymore, right? Here we have 2 times 1/2 is 1, so in the numerator we're just left with the square root of x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared. And then here, this is essentially the square root of 4y squared. So the square root of 4y squared is 2y. So this expression reduced is going to be the square root of x squared plus 2y squared minus the square root of x squared minus 2y squared over 2y.